Who do I have here today?
Well, this is Chef Kevin, even though he doesn't like to be called chef.
Chef Kevin, Don Burns.
Nice to
But
meet
he's
you.
natural. Real
An
chef.
actual chef.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many.
Trained. Under some good chefs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real deal. So now he's like pitmaster / chef.
Fantastic. And you guys are with Cultivated Pig, right?
Yeah, that's where we
Yeah.
incubate at
Out of Catapult.
Mm.
When did you guys start? Don't mind me asking.
a couple of years ago.
About 2 years ago.
Did you guys do something before that?
Work wise?
Yeah.
So that's a loaded question.
Yeah, that's a
I was in the industry for about 15 years. Worked my way up through a luxury hotel chain. And then I was wanting to do my own thing for a while, actually a long time. Never really built up the courage to do it. We actually started out together as a competition barbecue team. That's where we came up with the name Cultivated Pig when we were doing the competitions. And then we just wasn't really our style. We're from Texas, so everything is about the meat. Like just smoke the meat, leave it alone. Actually in Texas, a lot of places they just do salt and pepper on the rubs, whereas we don't. That's why we call ourselves Texas inspired. But we didn't really click well in that group, and there's nothing wrong with that style of barbecue. It's just not what we do. We're used to doing more Texas style, where it's about the meat and not sauces or anything like that. So flash forward to COVID, and I was basically furloughed from my job for about 9 months. And it put a lot of things in perspective for me. Kind of the courage to, okay, I'm gonna do this now. So when I decided to do this, I went to Jimmy again and said, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to start a business, pop up, basically selling 16-foot mobile smoker. I don't want to do a food truck, because the main goal is to have brick and mortar. But he was on board, and then we started. Actually, one of our first locations, we popped up on 98 Lime, was the corner of the busy intersection, and just started selling barbecue. And then we got into the yard on Mass, and it just kicked off where we started doing breweries and festivals. We actually started in the same. So my industry, my background is in the food and beverage industry, whereas his is not.
Business, technology. But yeah, I mean, I guess over 25 years ago, I started a software company when I both lived in Midland, Texas, and he moved off first to go to culinary school in Dallas, and then 4 seasons school. So I had started a software company and shut it down before I left. Started working for software for them, and then a database system for a certain healthcare group that they needed to get finished. So they, offered me a job, and I was like, hey, why not leave the country of Texas? Because a lot of people don't really leave. I mean, to other states. Yeah, so then went from that to desert to beaches, and for a year of that, I finished the project in about 6 months. And then since we really we were going to take like a year to do it, and promote it. Then I basically kind of put myself out of a job, because my goal was to try to make things so efficient that we didn't have to have so much overhead.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and then after all that, so I was self-taught from the program, get better business skills and school for business. yeah, went to UF, graduated top class. And so that's timing, I guess, kind of worked out. But I started another business that was addressing the last mile of delivery for perishables. So basically grocery delivery. Now, for the most part, the industry way it was working, actually still is they're just trying to shift the margins. You become so efficient, the delivery model, that it actually becomes more expensive at the break transaction. Transactions are less. So it's really just shifting the margins from one model to the other. So everybody's just losing money to a certain degree. So that's technical ideas that could solve that. And I think I might have been right because Walmart patented it before I could.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you should talk a little bit about, so unbeknownst to me, he's not a very good best friend, but he was going through a lot of, when I asked him to do the competition stuff, he was going through a lot of like mental things. And he was dealing with PTSD, like I didn't know how bad it was. He was agoraphobic, like he was really, he had to overcome a lot just to help me do those competitions. And just talk a little bit about that because it seems like we overcome a lot on a daily basis, and not just mental but physically. Like we bootstrap everything because we're small business owners and entrepreneurs. We try to bootstrap everything and make it be the cheapest way. But
He's from,
talk a little bit about
I'm
that.
from the country. You can't just go to the hardware store.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, you are? Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so I mean, at that point in my life, it's how you describe it, but it's like, I've heard it described like this before. It's like this, your mind just gets blown apart. What you think, there's a certain way that you live in life that, say it's like your identity, but it kind of is in a way. When some of that's, all of that's uprooted, you kind of question a lot of that stuff. Some people go, "Oh, the meaning of life." Da, da, da. I don't know. It's the worst part is realizing that you have to accept that you live in a random world of unknown, and that it's really addictive to try to come up with a way of thinking that makes you forget that.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something that's taken care of. There's like a hidden force that's taking care of everything in front of you, and this is not the case. And really that that case, that just, but yeah, it was pretty bad. Really, it was hard to leave the house for part of 2 years. Pretty much rarely really did. But yeah, I mean, his thing, it was it was important to him, and it just naturally just became important to me. So I was like, 2 years, and that's how we started.
Awesome. And the one thing I know for sure, my little Lakeland here in Denver, is the freaking loneliness. Dude, I'm the only one pushing this. And you get to the point where you're like, am I doing the right thing? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no freaking whole thing. Started out with a website of a directory, like a Lakeland phone book or something like that. I'm not an outgoing person naturally. For 20 years, I went, repaired a dishwasher, came home, I raised my kids. Come, this come along, and I have to bring out a personality that I have to develop as I'm going along.
We have to overcome.
Leave me alone. I'm in this world. Leave me. But as I get in more and more, I'm seeing how lonely entrepreneurship is.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's tough.
It's not lonely in the sense that there's no people around.
Yeah.
It's lonely in the fact that
Understanding.
people don't. Yeah, and that goes for family too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree 100%.
XYZ, results in ABC, and a lot of times you hear, "Oh, cool." but really, it's like, I'm not sure about this, especially now because, after the Industrial Revolution, kind of, that's what we did. The idea of having an 8 to 5 and all that, that was not, this is recent. We didn't have a work hour schedule like that when Jesus walked the earth.
Yeah.
Um, so it's kind of new to us, but in that structure, while it does organize, resources, people and and other resources, machines, all that kind of stuff, the negative part of it is that it can get you in such a box that the human factor kind of gets whittled away.
Yeah.
So then like, who do you go to when you're going like, I'm really nervous that this is going to work out? We're down to the last dollar. We're, doubling down. We're investing in this because we, believe, and that's what business really is all about. You get to a point where you're like, okay, and now you have to grow again. Otherwise, it's going to be just that until it's no longer just that, till it's gone. So then it's like, all right, we got to do the next step, and you kind of, I don't want to say you're gambling, but it feels like you're gambling.
Yeah.
Well,
And then, of course, when you voice that stress, a lot of people's concern, especially family and friends, the response is to go do something else.
Yeah.
and give up before they get a chance.
No, that's not my problem. I mean, you wouldn't go, I'm really having a hard time with this calculus, and so you go to a tutoring lab or department or whatever, and they go, well, it's probably best that you just find something else. No, they don't do that. But we do that all the time in business. But that's because 99% of us are used to that structure that we created just a couple hundred years ago, and going outside that box is incredibly uncomfortable and sometimes dangerous. Right? Like you could end up with nothing at the end of the day, and that is dangerous.
Yeah.
That's tough.
You're lucky sometimes if all you do is close the doors.
Yeah, usually I don't think you do though.
Yeah.
Unless you're really small.
Well, by your own admission, having a brick and mortar is your end deal, and there's more risk and there's more money that's needed. Is that truly? I mean, I'm just telling you from my experience. I've installed dishwashers into a restaurant, and on a leasing program. It's supposed to be for a year or two. I go and I service them every month, and in 3 months, 4 months, I'm taking the dishwasher back because they spent too much money, rent, labor, and all that. You really got to know what the hell you're doing when you go brick and mortar. I've seen it time and time again.
Yeah. And I think that's the point as we see it with the Catapult opportunity, is to, instead of going from not brick and mortar to brick and mortar, there's a bit of a transition there.
It helps.
And it helps. So the hiring people, for instance, you have some forgiveness there versus if you were in the brick and mortar, you really don't. And what I mean by that is, so some of our colleagues that we kitchen with have jumped in to help us whenever we're, hosed, as far as we don't have
In the weeds.
In the weeds.
Yeah.
We're in the weeds.
That's I love that. Like I was a server one year. I'm in the weeds.
Yeah.
And there's lots of weeds. But because you can't necessarily hire somebody and all you need is 7 hours of labor from them throughout the week or something, right? So the other side is that you hire somebody and they're only used for 7-8 hours a week, but you're paying them for 30 hours or whatever to make it so that it's worthwhile to even show up. So in that sense, like that's an example where you can't usually, if you're a restaurant and go to the neighboring restaurant, be like, hey, can I borrow your grill cook for an hour? It doesn't really.
So that leads into the question: what brought you guys to Lakeland?
Catapult.
Basically Catapult, yeah. So we were looking at different kitchens to kitchen out of, and their name came up, and immediately we walked in the door and we met the former kitchen director, Maggie, and we saw the space, and she gave us a tour and everything.
And she was a real go-getter, like one of those people that.
Well, she still is.
Well, yeah. she's not at Catapult any longer. She's over, how pretty big project.
She's moved to
now.
in
she's
Chicago,
going-
but yeah, just taking the
She's a good
tour and
problem solver.
seeing the cooler space and the kitchen space and everything that they have to offer, from mentor programs to everything basically. That's what got us to Lakeland basically, was them. And then we decided, well, since we're going to be kitchen out of there, we should just try to, pop up in the surrounding areas in this area. And then when we started doing that, actually, honestly, we found out that this city and this area, there's a lot of good foodie people here that we didn't realize that we had a preconceived notion of what we thought our customers were going to be, and they actually gave us a pleasant surprise of, no, we don't need any sauce. We did the good barbecue should just have meat. Just be about meat. And I'm like, well, you guys from Texas? That's what we're used to.
Because you're ordering like a Texan.
Yeah.
But now we've got to the point where we have people come from all over just to get us.
I think part of the people are tired of skirting around with diabetes all the time.
Yeah.
Like, sugar should be a seasoning, not an actual food group. And that sounds funny, but we actually did kind of teach that it was food group for quite some time. The whole food pyramid.
Of